just wanted to record an updated schedule and absences webinar for you. As the state and as OSPI, the Office and Superintendent of Public Instruction, come out with new information, we need to adjust and kind of recommunicate with you as policies change. So let me get started. First off, I just want to state like the real big changes before we dive into looking at the schedule and how to communicate as students when you're going to be absent. The biggest changes are just two things I want to update you on. When you are going to be absent, which means that you won't be able to log into your school device at all during a day, you want to inform all your teachers that you're going to be absent or won't be logging on for that day to your class link or your school device, and then call the school if you are absent. The other thing is that I wanted to update you on is that during classes, some of your teachers may opt to do live all-class meetings during your on-demand classes, and this is just because teachers want to get to know you. But I'll re-explain those kind of as we move along and look through the schedule. Here we go. So this is the schedule that we have for Henrietta Lacks High School. As a reminder to everybody, live classes you log on to Google Classroom, and there will be a link within Google Classroom for that class period for a full all-class virtual meeting with your teacher. Those will happen during live class periods. I'll also discuss in further what you can expect from a live classroom in just a moment. Your on-demand classes will almost always be, you get up, you log on to Google Classroom, you click on your class period, and there will be activities for you to do, but there usually won't be a full virtual all-class meeting with your teachers through Zoom or Google Meets or whatever format they use. So if you look, the first day of school is on a Tuesday. So you're going to want to look at this portion right here. So Tuesday, what the schedule kind of looks like is from 8:10 to 9:20. You're getting up, you're doing some independent study time, getting organized, making sure you can log on to ClassLink and Google Classroom, and can access your coursework and the links to whatever meetings you might have with your teacher or your class. On Tuesday, your first period starts at 9:20. So right at 9:20, you're going to log on to your school device or class link and go to Google Classroom. Click on your first period class within Google Classroom, and there will be activities for you to do on your own. Because it's an on-demand class. Now, like I said before, during the first 2 weeks of school, even though it's an on-demand class, when you get onto Google Classroom and you look at your class period's work for that day, you may have a link to a live all-class session with your teacher. That could happen during on-demand classes for your first 2 weeks, and really the only reason being is that teachers just want to connect with all students as much as possible during those first 2 weeks to make sure you're doing okay. They want to see you, they miss you, and to make sure that you don't need access to any other resources to be able to do the learning. So like I said, first period, you're logging on. That would be an on-demand class. So there may be just classwork for you to do on there, but there could be a link to a live Zoom meeting during those first 2 weeks. Then after 9:20 to 9:50 is that first period class on Tuesday, and then you have a 5-minute break. Then you're going to, at 9:55, log on to go into Google Classroom. Look at your second period class coursework, and there should be a link to a live Zoom meeting there because it is a live class. So chances are you're going to be spending the majority of that live class period with your teacher and full class in a Zoom meeting or Google Meets because it is a live class. And then you log off there about 10:25. You have a 5-minute break, and then you go to your third period class, which is an on-demand. So you go through Google Classroom, click on that, and see what's there for you to complete. And you just repeat that process. If you notice, 11:35 to 12:05 is a lunch for you. So you want to eat lunch, and we're encouraging kids to be active with making sure that you're moving your bodies and getting the blood pumping so that you're back for your 5th period class ready to learn. If you notice, HeLa's is at the end of the day. This is kind of a homeroom class, kind of a social emotional, just connecting with kids time. It's only 15 minutes. And then if you notice from 2:10 to 3 o'clock, You have asynchronous time is what we call it, but basically what that means is that from 2:10 to 3 o'clock, you're just working independently on the coursework that your teacher has assigned to you. If you have questions, you can email your teachers during that time. It's just a time for you, much like the morning, that 8:10 to 9:20 slot, for you to just complete work independently and go from there. Organize yourself too. Now, what I wanted to say is, now I mentioned again that the first 2 weeks you may have a lot of live Zoom full class meetings or Google Meet meetings during your on-demand classes, but that's just to get to know you. So more consistently after those 2 weeks, when you have a live class, what you can expect is to join the teacher and classmates to learn and share together live. And again, that's Google Meet, or sometimes it will be Zoom classrooms, depending on what the teacher has scheduled or what link they leave in your Google Classroom. On-demand sessions, you engage in work that your teacher has prepared for you. You can expect some of these things from an on-demand class period. Watch a video lesson, independent or group work, projects, student-to-student collaboration, a time to ask questions related to learning tasks, and you may meet your teacher virtually for a small group or individually if they have that option within the day's work. On Wednesdays, if you looked at the schedule previously, on Wednesdays you can see every single class is on demand. So you won't have live Zoom full class meetings with your teachers on Wednesdays. They are going to be in professional development training. So on those days, you have all your class periods, but you're just logging onto Google Classroom and seeing what work you have for that day. There will not be a full class Zoom meeting or virtual meeting with your teacher on Wednesdays. Those classes are all on demand. Okay, moving to the next section here. So here's kind of a cheat sheet. When do I have the full class meetings, right? When do I know that I'm going to be signing on to a Google Meets or a Zoom full class meeting with my teacher. So Mondays and Thursdays, those class periods are 1, 3, 5, 7, and your HeLa's class. Those are all live. You'll always have virtual class meetings for these class periods on Mondays and Thursdays. It's usually going to be the platform of Zoom or Google Meets. That link will be in your Google Classroom. Log on to Google Classroom for each class to get those specifics. During these sessions, you will get instructions for what to do for these classes during on-demand sessions for the week as well. They'll give you a little bit of that information. Tuesdays and Fridays, you have periods 2, 4, and 6 that are live. Note, you will always have a virtual class meeting. You'll always have virtual class meetings for these class periods on Tuesdays and Fridays, right? So live classes for periods 2, 4, and 6 on Tuesdays and Fridays. Again, that's going to be through Zoom or Google Meets, and the teacher will put the link in the Google Classroom for you. Log on to Google Classroom for each class to get those specifics. And a lot of times during those live sessions, you'll get instructions for what to do for the on-demand session that happens usually that next day. What about Wednesdays? We kind of discussed that. Wednesdays are a time for you to complete work you had just been assigned for your classes. There are no live classes on Wednesdays, but you still need to log on to your class league at least once on that day. If you have your school device and you log on to it, it'll automatically log you onto ClassLink. On those days, you're still going to go to all your classes on Google Classroom to get your activities for the day. This work is to be completed on your own with the chance to participate in student study groups you create, and it's also a chance for you to email your teacher with questions. So here's an update. During the first 2 weeks of school, you may get links to all class live Zoom meetings during on-demand class periods. Teachers just want to connect with students as much as possible during those first 2 weeks. To make sure you are ready and have what you need. So again, you're just going onto Google Classroom, clicking on your class periods within Google Classroom and looking for those links. So this is another change. So if I am sick or need to be absent, this is an update. You need to email all your teachers and then call us and notify the school. All teachers take attendance for you at the end of the school day every day for all your classes. So attendance happens like normal. If you haven't logged on to ClassLink or your school issued Chromebook at all during that day, you are counted absent for all your classes that day. If you log in one time during the day, you are counted as present for all classes on that day. Advice and helpful tips. Log on at least once a day during the school week to ClassLink or your school device or Chromebook. Email all your teachers and call the school if you're going to be absent. You need to stay engaged. This is something that we've communicated, but I want to make sure that you know that the work that you do in these classes count towards a final grade. The situation in the spring where your grade couldn't go down during remote learning, that policy or process is no longer in place. We are starting with a traditional grading system like we've normally had at HeLa High School prior to school being shut down for the pandemic. So you will still earn a letter grade, and all the assessments and work you do in that class count towards your final grade. So make sure that you're logging on daily and staying engaged. But we're here for you. If you need help in a class, notify your teacher in that class. They can set up help sessions or offer support during on-demand class time or possibly other times of the school day. We're here and we want to support you, so reach out to us if you have questions or need support. Other thing I want to say is, we will do this together. If you have issues or concerns, please email the people here. There's my email, my associate principal's email, our 2 admin interns, and both our counselors. We want to be able to help you and work with families to make sure this transition to remote learning is smooth. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're really excited to work with you. Kids, we're really excited to start the year. Just make sure you're logging on and staying engaged, and it's going to be a good experience for everybody. All right, thank you so much.